Hello, my name is Juan Contreras. I create music under the name of Johnny Habanero, and I am also part of the duo Spicy Brothers. Today I'll be showing two sampling techniques using simpler and drum racks. Sampling is used a lot in hip-hop, house, and modern music. It is also a very helpful technique to create remixes. The goal of this video is to give you some tips to get you started with sampling, and hopefully some ideas to start writing your own tracks. I am going to add the song called Get Out of My Life Woman by Alain Toussaint to our audio track. The drums from this track has been sampled by many artists, from De La Soul, Nas, and the British band Gorillaz. I am going to move the start marker to the beginning of the kick. To make a more precise adjustment, hold Command while you drag the marker with the mouse. Next, right-click on the marker and select Set 1.1.1 here. I am going to start creating warp markers on every transient. These warp markers will indicate live where to create the divisions for every slice. Now, I'm going to highlight the first bar of the track, and then press Command L. This will create a loop. Now that I have the loop selected, right-click on the clip and select Crop Sample. Let's press again right-click on the track and now choose Slice to New MIDI Track. A box will appear. The first option asks you how you want to create the slices, if it is by note measure, transient, or warp marker. Let's choose warp markers, and leave the rest as it is. Click OK. Live has created a drum rack with each slice inside a sampler. It has also created a MIDI clip. Let's double-click inside the clip to see the content. Now we can drag these notes and create variations of the original sample. I am going to delete this MIDI clip since we are going to play the notes from push. I am going to click on the bottom of my screen to show device view, then click on the button Show Hide Devices, located on the left part of this rack. Also, click on the Auto Select button. This button is very helpful because every time we press a pad, the device will appear on device view, letting us know which sample we are editing. Let's listen to the slices. In Simpler, we have three modes to play a sample: Classic, One Shot, and Slice. Right now we are in Classic mode. This mode will play the sound only when you hit the pad, and as soon as you release the pad, the sound will fade out. However, you can change it. To do this, we need to change each and every slice to one-shot mode. This is when the auto select function comes in handy. I am going to press each pad and choose one-shot mode. To have a cleaner sound on our individual drums, let's adjust the start and end of each slice. To do this from push, I need to press the device button, then press the yellow button below slice 1. On the display, I can see the start and end knobs. By turning the knobs left and right, I can adjust the slice length. To move the marker in smaller increments, hold Shift while turning the knob. Let's do the same for each slice. Usually, the end of the slice contains a tiny part of the next sound. This creates clicks and noise. That is why it is important to clean our sounds. I'll proceed to delete slice 9. In order to do this from push, hold the button Delete and then press the pad that contains slice 9. Now let's play the sample with these changes. Let's adjust again the start marker of the double kick in slice 5. By moving the start marker to the right, this will cause the second kick to sound like it hits faster. Now we are ready to program our drums, but before we start recording, I am going to turn on the metronome located in the top left of push. When activated, this button will start blinking. Let's also turn on the accent button. This will help to play each pad at the same velocity. Then let's increase the tempo of the track to 98 beats per minute. One last step. Let's set the loop length of the clip. To do this, I need to hold the Fix Length button on the left side of push. I will choose 1 bar. Then, we need to make sure Fix Length is activated. You can see this in the display. When activated, the Fix Length button will light brighter. Now, I will press the record button and play my drums. Push has an 8x8 pad section. When working with drum racks, the 16 pads on the bottom left are for triggering sounds. The 32 pads at the top are for sequencing drums. When I press the slices, I can now see the notes that I programmed. The 16 pads on the bottom right indicate the loop length of the clip. Right now, we only have one bar loop. To increase the loop length, we just need to hold 2 pads or more. To switch from bar, hold a different pad. Let's fix the drums that are slightly off beat. I'm going to hold the Quantize button to adjust the settings. Let's keep the Quantize amount to 100%, Quantize to 116, and then press the Quantize button again. Let's adjust the last note. To do this from push, press the pad of the note you want to adjust. Then hold the note. The display will show different options. With notch, you can move the position of the notes. Now, I'm going to press the duplicate button located on the left side of push. This is known as the transport section. Now that I have duplicated this loop, I can start adding variations. Let's add some hi-hats. Now I'm going to quantize only the hi-hats. To do this, I first need to choose the settings. This time, let's add a 44% swing. Then hold the Quantize button and then press the hi-hats pad. Let's also modify the hi-hats velocity to add some dynamics. To do this, hold the pads with the hi-hats notes. If I hold 2 notes at the same time, I can modify multiple values. As the velocity value is higher, the pads will light brighter. Let's create a third variation of this loop. I'm going to press the duplicate button. Only this time, I will add 1 bar. I can do this by pressing the double button located on the edit section. Now we have a 2-bar loop. Let's add some snares. As you can see, now we have 2 pads slided on the loop length section. The pad that is currently playing will light green. Now, let's add our second sample. This track is called Keep Your Earth by Earth. I choose this track because the intro is very clean, in the sense that it doesn't have any drums or vocals, making it easier to sample. I'm going to drag it to our first audio track. Let's play the clip. This track is 110 BPM. The current warping mode is beats, and it is not sounding very good. This mode is designed to use it with drums and rhythmical samples. Let's switch to complex mode. This mode will compensate the difference in tempo and will make it sound better. Then, I will move the start marker where the bass begins. Now right-click on the marker and choose the option Set 1.1.1 here. Live has created our first warp marker. I'm going to duplicate this clip. Select the clip and press Command D. Then I'm going to highlight a 4-bar loop. Create a loop by pressing Command L. Now right-click on the clip and choose Crop Sample. Now I'm going to drag this clip into a sampler. I'm going to press the button Add Track, located on the Add section. Then, choose MIDI format. Now drag the 4-bar loop into device view, where it says drop an instrument or sample here. As I mentioned before, we have 3 modes to play a sample in Simpler: Classic, One Shot, and Slice. For this example, Slice mode works better, because I want to spread out the 4-bar loop into 16 pads. Let's see how. We can slice the sample in 4 ways: transient, beat, region, and manual. I am going to select beat. Here, I'm going to choose a division of 1/4. And now, I have the 4-bar loop spread across 16 pads. When you hit the pad, Simpler has 2 modes to play the sample. Right now, we have Trigger selected. This mode will play the complete slice even if the pad is released. The second mode is Gate. When this mode is selected, the sample will play the sound only when you hit the pad. As soon as you release it, the sound will fade out. I already have an idea which slices will sound good for our bassline. Before we sequence the pattern, let's remove the high frequencies. This way, we will only hear the bass and remove the pianos. To do this, I need a low-pass filter. I am going to hold the button Add Effect, then scroll down and then press the first green button to load the effect with a blank preset. Then press the Add Effect button to release focus on the device. Now I'm going to turn the frequency knob to the left. This will cut all the high frequencies. Now let's increase the resonance. This will give emphasis to the frequencies where we are creating the cutoff. Next, let's load the glue compressor. I am going to press the Add Effect button. Then scroll down and find the glue compressor. Press the green button to load the effect, and press the Add Effect button to release focus on the device. Let's set the attack to 1. Choose a ratio of 2. Bring down the threshold to -15 dB and increase the makeup gain around 9 to 10 dB. With this glue compressor, we will have more control over the spikes in frequency and volume. It will also help to bring up the quieter parts. I am going to sequence the bassline on a new MIDI clip. This time, I will set a 2-bar loop length. To do this, I need to hold the fixed length button and then choose 2 bars. Also, I want to activate the accent button. And finally, hit record. This time, I'm not going to quantize the notes, since I prefer the human feel that the bass has. What I can do is move the notes that are slightly offbeat manually with the notch button. Now, I'm going to add the beginning of the Keep Your Earth track to a simpler. Let's click on the solo button of the first track. I am going to move to the left the start marker to the beginning of the track. Then, right-click on the start marker and select Start 1.1.1 here. Next, highlight an 8-bar loop and then press Command L to create a loop. Let's duplicate this clip to the bottom of the clip row. To do this, I am holding Shift while dragging the clip. Now let's crop the clip. Right-click on the clip and select Crop Clip. Then, deactivate the solo button. Now, I need to drag this clip into a new MIDI track. Let's switch the simpler to Slice mode. Then choose Slice by Transient. In this mode, the slices will be automatically created based on the transient. With higher sensitivity percentage, we will have more slices. Let's bring down the percentage. Each time I press a pad, the edit settings will appear on the display. With the notch control, I can adjust the beginning of each slice. But notice how each slice is connected. Where one slice finishes, the next one begins. This is one of the main differences between slicing a sample in Simpler or slicing it to a new MIDI track on drum racks. Both are very helpful, depending on what you want to create. Now, I'm going to switch to Gate mode. Now, let's add a ping-pong delay. Let's adjust the feedback to 50% and the dry and wet control to 74%. And in push, let's press the repeat button on the note section. When activated, it will start blinking. Also, I'm going to use the filter inside Simpler. Press the arrow pointing to the right. Proceed to press the yellow button below Filter, and then adjust the filter frequency. I am going to choose a 4-bar loop by holding the fixed length button, and now record some notes. like what we have created with the repeat function and the ping-pong delay. It has a certain dub vibe. Now let's load our vocal sample into a new MIDI track. I'm going to choose Slice mode, only this time I am going to use Slice by Manual. By pressing the pad on the left, the sound will start playing. As soon as the next phrase begins, I am going to quickly hit the next pad. This way, I will be creating the slices manually.
Mind the eye of the now, walk the walk you allow.
Now it's time to switch the warp mode to repitch. We will have a more pitched down vocal. Also, switch to gate mode and adjust the start marker with the notch control.
Self, be true, forget the role that you view. Mind the eye of the now, walk the walk you allow.
We can add another ping-pong effect. This time, let's create an A-bar loop and start recording the notes. Last but not least, I am going to drag a percussion loop to our first audio track. Let's erase the other clips on track 1 and rename our tracks to know what we are looking at. I know that track 5 are my drums, track 4 my bass, track 3 my vocal, track 2 pianos, and track 1 my percussion. Now let's press the session button to control our clips with the pads. You might want to adjust the volume levels of each track by pressing the volume button on the encoder section. With this, you now have a starting point to write your own track. Sampling is a great technique to get insight and start developing ideas. So we hope this video has given you some to incorporate in your music production. Even if you don't use the samples in your final project, this process is a great way to get you unstuck when the creative juices are not flowing. Thank you so much for watching this video. This was Johnny Habanero with the Spicy Brothers. See you next time.